We're going live in 3, 2, 1, action.
Any officers who violate the misconduct policy.
That was good. It all started when I was in the gym and I had this incredible vision on, writing this story of two detectives that were corrupt in this world where they ultimately have to make a choice. The end of Hilo 1 basically paved the way for Hilo 2 in the way that it ended. That post-credit end scene was pretty synonymous with where we wanted to go with the film. Mark Evan came onto the scene of Hilo 2 about midway into the production. And I had seen some of the films that he had done and some of the work that he'd done, and it was basically a lot of mobster and Italian roles. So I initially asked him, I said, we got on a FaceTime call, and I said, Mark, listen, I want you to play this brash reporter who is not afraid to ask the mayor the toughest questions, and this is how we want you to look. So when Mark came to set, he completely transformed himself from the way he looked to what he wore to his entire persona, in which that infamous scene opens up with Hilo 2 where he's questioning Mayor Richards.
I knew that I wanted to disguise him, so I did the whole mustache thing, put on a pair of glasses, I did my hair in a certain way, and then when it came to his accent, I kind of wanted to go with the Boston route.
That said, Mr. Mayor, when will justice be served? Will justice be served? The city has spoken, and it is clear that they are tired, Mr. Mayor.
Hilo 2's fight scene was pretty intense. It took a lot of choreography. I had Chris and I had Stan work on the fight scenes. We met up in Manhattan at a studio and we choreographed the entire fight scene. It was physically demanding of both actors. I mean, they went through that about 100 times. We had to fix certain things and we had to tweak it to make it just believable and realistic in the sense of, these two guys are meeting for the first time. This is the big clash. This is the build-up from Hilo 1. And the amount of physicality that it took to pull off those scenes was a lot. I mean, they absolutely rocked it and knocked it out the park.
The thing that I could say that I was most drawn to for Chubbs was the fact that it was different from a lot of the parts that I had been playing up until that point.
These assholes speak for you? These assholes you keep talking about? This is my crew.
Having Sean Black on set was absolutely phenomenal. When I had initially had a phone call with Sean Black and we didn't know each other, and I called him, I said, listen, give me a call. We spoke to each other on Instagram. We got on the phone, we were talking about this idea. Now, Sean had never seen me, had worked with me. He's seen some of the work that I had done with Hilo 1, and I just told him, I said, listen, I have this vision for this character. Even his walk when he comes out of the shadows, it's just so impactful in the way that his presence is felt on screen.
One of the things that I can remember was being in the zone and, just before they call action and you're going over your lines, you just it looks like you're mumbling, but what you're really doing is you're going back and forth between their lines and your lines, and you're just trying to see if you can give the best delivery possible. And you tried it a couple of different ways, but that was one of the things that I saw on other sets. And I tried to incorporate that into what I did to just try and kind of get into the role and, be more in the moment. And I think that's what it's really all about, being in the moment and just wherever it is, whatever it is, just being that character.
He said, what do you think about him wearing a suit? And I said, that's absolutely a great idea. This gives him the distinguishment of the amount of power he has. And how do you distinguish that character from the rest of the clown gang to show power? You use a suit.
I think you can come in here all alone and nothing's gonna fucking happen to you?
And the police brutality scene that you see between Pedretti and Stelwell profiling the African-American kid, I think it touched a lot of people in a lot of ways. First off, people who have dealt with that kind of interaction, it's a negative interaction with police. Unfortunately, that's not how all cops operate, but we wanted to show that these things do happen in society.
Yeah, hold on. Hey, man. Hey, hold on. What you doing in this neighborhood?
What we do is we take a character, we put him in a position where the audience can have a bird's eye view of what this character is going to deal with at that moment.
I want to talk to you. Just got out of work. I just want to talk to you. What did I do? Just come see me.
And initially I wanted to make sure they were comfortable with this scene because it was so personal for people that I wanted to make sure that everyone was comfortable with what was going to happen in the scene and that they were okay with it. That's initially what you want to do with the actors.
Yo, fella, come on. Give me a knock hand. Come on. I'm gonna have to call you back. I'm not resisting. Stop resisting. Hey, fucking come. Hey.
Whenever you're doing an independent film and you don't have the funding, you have to do what you can do with what you have. I think every filmmaker can relate to that in every aspect of what I'm saying.
Well, well, well. What do we have here? For this?
So the original Gorgeous George couldn't come back for personal reasons. And I'm on the beach and I'm trying to figure out, we already had shot the trailer and the teaser for Hilo 2. So midway into filming, I had no Gorgeous George. And as you guys know, the film couldn't be done without him. My phone rings. And it's a good friend of mine named Chris Donato. He calls me up and he's like, listen, I have this kid named Chris and he sends me some of his mug shots. He's like, listen, I'm gonna send you some of his pictures and I think this guy has a great look. He's an actor and I know you're doing movies. And I said, send it to me. What are the odds that he's gonna look like, Gorgeous George? So he sends me the guy's pictures. Didn't know Chris. And I look at the pictures and I said, wow, this guy looks just like the original Gorgeous George.
For the first time on set, it was the middle of summer. We were shooting at the Clown Lair. It was blistering hot. It was definitely in the mid-90s.
I met him on set the day we did the flashback scene. It was 95 degrees and I had on the red leather jacket. I give him the black leather jacket. He's probably thinking this guy's a complete nut.
And Will hands me this big plushy leather jacket and tells me to put it on. And we do about 40 takes of us just running back and forth. And I was drenched in sweat, my eyes were burning. And it was just at that point where I knew this guy was a little different.
And he was an absolute pleasure to work with. I mean, Chris is so talented. He's a method actor. He's great on set. He was so good.
I guess it's just us then. I want to give you one last chance to be a part of this.
But for me to play a villain was something different. But I was up to the task and it was really fun. Gorgeous George is cocky, he's brash, he's arrogant. So all those things, all those colors, was fun and it was different to tap into.
Gorgeous George and Chubbs' turbulent relationship was something I really wanted to tackle in this film. We didn't get too much of it, but I wanted to show the audience that there was tension between the two entities.
The way I see it, I'm the brains of this operation.
And how to do that was to show, hey, listen, this is Gorgeous George's gang. And there's kind of like this way where he's trying to throw his weight around with Chubbs, and Chubbs is letting him know, like, listen, man, this is my gang.
If I was you, I'd put that gun down in my house.
You can see Chubbs and Gorgeous George having this kind of tension between them. And even in the fight scene, you see Chubbs kind of hold off the clown gang and says, that infamous line.
Such a Billy badass. Handle that.
I think the audience, when they saw that, they knew, Chubbs is here, he likes her. He's not fond of Gorgeous George, not at all. You also see at the end of the fight scene when Gorgeous George defeats Detective Jones, you kind of see Chubbs and Ravage look at each other like, who does this guy think he is? With Hilo 2, I was just trying to give them more of the film. Hilo 1 was a very short film. It was my first attempt at making a film. In retrospect, and to be honest with you guys, Hilo 1 to me felt more like a music video than an actual film. What I wanted to do was give these characters a dynamic arc in the way we portrayed them to the audience. And I wanted to make the film longer, but I wanted to make it more meaningful. I wanted to give the Clown Gang a voice, a face, names, and an identity in its own. I think that, when you are writing a film, you want to have the why, the who, the what, the where. Those things are very important factors, but to follow up from Hilo 1 to Hilo 2, how do we give the audience something brilliant? So we create a fight scene. We do things that we can do. Having it on Amazon Prime and not just having it on YouTube and putting it on a social platform like that set the precedence for the next films to come. I'm just so happy that I was able to work with such a great cast and crew that believed in my vision and didn't know me at all. We were complete strangers and we really became family. Looking back on what we've accomplished with Hilo 2, I would say that the best is yet to come.